Hey everybody, Matt with Freestand here. Got a special guest on the show today, an old friend, Haley DelPlato. How we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. She started her company how many years ago?
It's 3.5 years ago now.
3.5 years ago. It's called Peel and Heal Studios. They make
hmm
planning materials, mostly stickers, right?
hmm
I just want to make sure I'm getting that right. Um, and yeah, Haley and I met, is that 2 summers ago? 2 summers ago in a little startup incubator thing at Colgate University. So that's how we got connected. And yeah, now we're checking in. So I just wanted to we're just gonna go over basic stuff. How you got started, all that stuff. So we can start with that first.
Sounds
So how did you get started? What is Peel and Heal? How did you get
good.
started? All that stuff.
So Peel and Heal Studio started on Etsy. We started it was just a side hustle. It was just kind of my creative outlet while I was working after college. As planned, I went on to become a Spanish translator. So I was working in a corporate office doing translations and writing. Uh, but I am a very creative person. So after work, I was always, just messing around with art in different forms. Eventually, Peel and Heal Studio, the idea of it kind of developed because I found an entire hub of people on the internet who love to plan like in a paper planner, but decoratively. So it's like a mixture of planning functionally with scrapbooking. And for me, I was at the time I had just graduated college and I was still pretty freshly in recovery from my eating disorder. So my planners looked like a lot different than your average 20-year-olds, I guess. I had probably close to 30 appointments with different medical specialists every month. Like my priorities were just different than most people's. So having my life revolve around meal tracking and appointments and writing down symptoms and writing down side effects and tracking all that stuff really, I don't know. I've always been a pen on paper kind of person. I've always had a planner. So that was fine by me. But I guess as I went through treatment, I started to realize how privileged I was to have a family, because my family was able to back me up. And they 100% stood behind me throughout treatment. Reinforcing my meal plans, just making sure I was following through with, the goal of recovery that I had set out on. Um, so I guess I kind of, I became accustomed to checking all the boxes in my life, to put it bluntly. I
Well,
am a very privileged white girl from an upper class New Jersey suburb town. It's I was afforded a lot of privileges that a lot of people don't have, and because of my parents' social status, I guess I was able to afford treatment. But what a lot of people don't realize is that treatment for an eating disorder is up to $900 a day.
jeez.
Um, and many insurance companies, my parents included, would not cover that unless you met the requirements for a typical restrictive anorexia, which meant basically if I didn't stay under a certain amount of weight, they would not be covering me anymore. So it almost conflicts the
The
process
whole
of recovery, right? They're not going to pay unless you have lost a very, very significant amount of weight.
which is
Obviously,
just it's so unhealthy. And this is not just with
it makes absolutely no sense,
it,
and things
it
have gotten better, luckily.
yeah, because it's treated obviously like a business because it's insurance. right?
Exactly.
And they need some type of metric to come up with their premiums, but it's totally broken. It doesn't work. And
Yeah.
I like learned a little bit about this with mental health insurance too. It's like
Yeah.
not just eating disorders. I'm talking about just like the whole
Yeah.
spectrum of mental
Just
health.
in general.
And it's so hard to equate. When somebody breaks their arm, it's like, okay, the person broke their arm. This is what the
Very
costs are going to be.
straightforward. Right.
Exactly. And with this, it's
Yeah.
just all over the board and so difficult to track. That's why just
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I had so much trouble, I think, with recovery, because I am like a very numbers oriented person. I like statistics. I like things to be black and white. That's a lot of times that does lead to eating disorders, like that desire for control and perfectionism. Like you like
Sure.
to know what's coming. You like to plan, and you like to have plans
So
work
there
out.
you go. Yeah. So there you go. So it kind of like putting together these planners was kind of like your creative outlet that also allowed you to be focused, that helped you get through
Yeah, so I
those
actually
struggles,
ended up
right?
just doing it on a notepad, right? Like every day I had to eat, for example, 8 servings of carbs, 4 servings of dairy, 3 servings of fruit, 3 of vegetable, 5 of dairy, whatever it was. So I would like make my checklist and go out throughout the day checking them off. And I was very blessed that my family was aware of what I needed to get done nutritionally. I definitely realized that privilege in treatment. And I went through several rounds of treatment um, and saw a variety of, people from all walks of life that just don't have the home support. And I guess it got me thinking along the lines of what's out there to support people who don't have a family watching over their shoulder for dinner, right? So it all started with my eating disorder recovery and knowing that I wanted to give back to that community, to anyone struggling with eating disorders, sort of provide them that tangible, like, accountability partner that my family was for me. And it allowed me to kind of like add in my artsy, my artsy hobby. So I don't know, I guess as I got into this decorative planning, I noticed nobody was putting up pictures of therapy in their planner. And I was like, hey, like, there are all these companies making planner stickers. Nobody's talking about mental health. Where is that? I cannot be the only person. There are, millions upon millions of people using the hashtag planner addict, and not any of them go to therapy. I was like, this is ridiculous. Either people are not comfortable sharing it, which
is one piece,
is like pretty much, common. It's often, kind of shamed still at this point, unfortunately. Or people are like taking the pictures for Instagram before they put in their real stuff. So their planners aren't really representing like their real life. It's like a beautiful, idealized version of their life without the messy parts.
Mm-hmm.
So Peel and Heal kind of quickly became more than just eating disorder trackers. It became the planner store that embraced imperfection and, sort of just encouraged customers to show up authentically and like, you know what, we're not going to check off all the check boxes every day, and that's okay. Whiteout is like my best friend. I think I learned a lot about how much perfectionism can be toxic. I learned a lot about, as I kind of went through the corporate life and started kind of burning out with that, I started seeing, the impact of like hustle culture and the idea of like just a 24/7 grind and what that does to people. I started, I guess it was probably 4 years into my job as a translator that I began having, at that point, I did consider myself fully recovered from my eating disorder. So that was still in the past, but obviously there is a lot of like psychological maintenance that goes along with it. I still see a therapist every week. I still see a psychiatrist every month. That's just like maintenance. my, I guess, my, I don't want to say issues because I don't like to frame it in a negative light, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess my job put me in an environment that I was unable to. It was a very toxic environment.
Yeah.
I ended up with very severe panic attacks consistently at work. And eventually, when I went to the doctor to ask for, a little increase in my anxiety meds, they said I was in hypertensive crisis, which basically was a result of having too many panic attacks within a short amount of time. Um, so usually a hypertensive crisis would just be experienced by someone with very high blood pressure for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone whose father had just a year prior had 3 widowmaker heart attacks, he like barely survived.
That was
Uh,
scary.
yeah, and thank goodness my mom's a nurse, so she was the one that did CPR on him, and he was airlifted, and he's still like known as like the miracle. Small town, so you get like a lot of
Yeah, I'm sure.
fame with
Um,
survival. That was like top of mind for me. It was like, oh my god, my mental health is very, very connected right now to my physical health. My
it
dad
always
almost
is.
died of a heart attack. Now you're telling me that I have hypertensive, like I'm in a hypertensive crisis because of anxiety,
Yeah.
and like, I guess seeing all of this manifest is what led to me eventually leaving to do Peel and Heal Studio full time.
So does the planner itself like help you control your anxiety like crazy since you're able to just get everything down, check everything off, and then also
Yeah,
give your
I mean, for me, it serves like a lot of purposes. For me, it's primarily functional. Like when it comes down to it, I need to make sure that I am like keeping my appointments, that I am like on my game, because when it comes to mental health and depression and anxiety, whenever I'm struggling, it's always back to basics. Like just stop distracting yourself with the pretty flower stickers and like get yourself therapy, Haley. Like, come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So,
You want to
it's a
see
bit of a reality.
do you want to see my planner?
Yeah, I do. What kind of
Okay.
planner do you use?
It's a little unorthodox.
Uh-oh. Oh, fun. Oh boy.
Oh wait,
Wait,
I'm trying to tilt
where are
it.
the dates?
There's no dates, and I'm really having trouble trying to move the thing.
There's a stick figure.
There
Oh,
we
he's
go.
standing on a world.
There we go. Now you get a good view.
Oh,
Anyway, all it
wow.
is it's just a big whiteboard that I painted onto my wall. But you
Hey,
know what?
it's whatever works.
I'm also a pen on paper guy as well.
Everyone has their systems, right? And
Yeah.
mine, I like to be portable. I like it to be artistic. It gives me a
Yeah.
good, like, I don't know. It's a good way for me to combine a hobby and
The 100%.
functionality.
The other amazing thing about it, especially I don't know with papers, I mean digitally I guess too, but specifically with paper, is like I kind of get like high when I cross something off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? And that's actually the danger of it. And that's why,
Is
like,
that bad?
so it's not that it's necessarily bad, but we're trained as a society to like
Get as
crave
many
that.
things off. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's that like it's the prioritization of productivity over health, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to get stuff done. We feel like we have worth and value in this world if we are accomplishing what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Nobody ever taught us that like part of what we're supposed to do is like self-care, keep ourselves alive, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, especially in America.
it's totally common, and there's nothing like that satisfaction of just like boop, off the list.
Yeah. It's really crazy. No, you become addicted to it. But I think
Well, it is like even like on the reverse side, like just in a positive way, you're 42% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down with the action steps laid out.
Oh, sure.
And that's like 42%. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like, why wouldn't it's like the link between like writing stuff down and actually accomplishing stuff is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, if I don't write something down, most like very good chance it doesn't happen, or it happens, but it happens like 2 months from now. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
But back to the whole. There you go, super coffee. Do you
right.
drink this a lot?
All the time.
Hey, shout
Yeah.
out to the Chicos. But what was I gonna say? Oh, back to like the whole work 24/7 culture type thing. Like I find
Yeah.
myself doing that a lot. I think it's just really common in America specifically.
It
Um,
is.
if you
Yeah.
go to other countries, like you go to Spain, like I
Yeah.
studied in Spain for a couple months in college, and it was so different. I mean,
So
like
different. Like you have siesta.
yeah, that's actually a thing.
Hello.
Like in the main cities they don't, but like in all the coastal cities, like everything on the Mediterranean they do. And I actually was reading a book recently. It's called Why We Sleep. It's really, really good.
Why we sleep?
Why We Sleep. Yeah, it's written by this
Okay.
British neuroscientist
Oh.
named Matt Walker. Really smart guy. But they did this study on people in America and other like really high strung, heavy work cultures
Right,
compared
right.
to all the Mediterranean cultures in
Oh, cool.
Italy and Spain. And like the level of anxiety, depression, heart failure, and longevity, like just total lifespan, was so much better with the countries that took the break during the middle of the day.
It's
And
super interesting
it's
because
yeah,
even like I want to say it's the Japanese culture. They'll like have scheduled naps in their workday. Like it's not bizarre to them.
yeah. But
And
if you do that here,
if you
you're
do that
like
here, you're like lazy
yeah,
and
you're like a loser.
yeah, right, right. It's
It's
like, what are you hungover? Like, what's going on here?
yeah. So, but
Yeah,
anyway, all right. Let's talk about the business a little bit more. So I know
yeah,
you so you started this 3.5 years ago.
yeah,
You're making these stickers. You
yeah.
print them yourself, right?
Yeah, so I'm entirely self-taught. Um, I wasn't even aware at the beginning that I could like outsource stuff because I don't have a business degree, right? Like I got my degrees in Spanish and educational studies. I was going to be a Spanish translator. I didn't
Yeah.
know any of this, but slowly taught myself. But a lot of it was kind of DIY'd. So from the very beginning, I purchased probably 50 different kinds of sticker paper and tested them out and found the brands that I liked and the suppliers I liked. So I've been making everything in-house, printing and cutting in-house since day one. Obviously, I've gotten a couple more machines. Um, and then now I'm working with like outside manufacturers for things like Post-it notes and journaling cards, like things that are outside my realm of.
And you do all the designs yourself too, right? Just using like Adobe
Yeah, all
Illustrator.
my designs are hand drawn and hand lettered. So yeah, I've kind of expanded into calligraphy. I offer like custom hand lettered stickers for people. So if you're having trouble finding, like when I was thinking back to when I was first planning, I was like, where are all the therapy stickers? Granted, I could write it in myself in pretty lettering, but still,
Mm-hmm.
the point stands. There were no therapy stickers, right? So those sort of off the norm stickers that people are looking for, they can just request exactly what they want. And
That's awesome. And you'll do
yeah,
custom ones.
yeah,
That's really cool. And you said you started off on Etsy, and
yeah,
now
I
you've
did. Yeah.
yeah. Talk about that a little bit, and then you transferred from Etsy into your own website.
Yeah, I initially was on Etsy. I loved it for what it was. I think it was a beautiful place for me to start. It's a marketplace style site and it's all handmade goods. So it seemed like a natural choice. Also, for someone with absolutely no business or tech knowledge, like I had no idea how to build a website. Um, for me, that it was all done for you, right? Like you just pop in your products and you're golden. You print your shipping labels right through there. It was all very streamlined. So for a first time seller, it was absolutely perfect. I guess after a year or so, I started to kind of feel its limitations because I was growing as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to feel like Etsy was a platform that kind of prohibited me in some ways from customizing what I wanted to,
Mm.
providing some of the features I wanted to. A
It
lot of
makes
my
it
goals, like, not just to provide the stickers, but teach people how to like use them, teach people how to implement the self-care tools and the
Mm-hmm.
journaling and, you know, the reasons why. And I couldn't, there was no way for me to really provide education on the Etsy platform,
Hmm.
in addition to just like fees increasing.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah, it kind of was a no-brainer for me to switch to a standalone site.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with all of these marketplaces. Like Etsy allows you to have like a decent amount of customization compared to like something like Amazon, which is like actually not like zero.
Yeah.
Obviously, two very different platforms, but then the trade-off is like they give you, distribution. They put you in front of eyes,
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
the other trade-off is they take 20% or 15%, whatever it
Right,
is.
right, right. So I think like it's tough. Like I think it was instrumental in my success at the beginning because at the end of the day, I was working a full-time job. I don't know who would have found, you know, I had a
Yeah,
decent social media following, but you know, I could obviously see the statistics and I knew that a lot of my first-time customers were coming from people searching on the Etsy platform, like
yeah.
meal planning stickers or, you know, yoga stickers or whatever it may be. So I don't know. It became like, I don't know. I guess I have ran into the issue of like living in rented space type of thing.
Yeah, a
You know,
hundred
how do you
percent.
operate a business when they can decide that
Who
in 30
sees you, who
days
doesn't
they're
see
going to
you.
take an extra 5%?
Yeah,
Um, it became tough with margins and with like just making the bigger decisions. You know, I just felt like I wasn't necessarily fully in control of my own company.
yeah, absolutely. No, you're in their hands. What they want to do with you is what
Yeah.
they'll do with you.
And that
eBay.
said, you have to have the time for the marketing though if you do a standalone site, right? Like,
It's Yeah, it's tough. It's like you have the standalone site and then you rely on Instagram. You know what I mean?
right. So then you're
Wait,
building an email list and you're spending all this time doing that instead of building actual products. You know, it's a trade-off. It's deciding like what I think works for you and your lifestyle. But
so let's talk about this because you definitely have some experience with it. So you're doing Etsy. You're like, okay,
yeah.
Etsy's kind of in control. They're not letting me like branch off and develop my own brand. I want to develop my own brand. I'm going to create my own website and then kind of use like Instagram as my platform for distribution. So how do you do that? So you just produce tons of content on Instagram. Have you been building an email list? Like, talk about that
Yeah,
a
so
little bit.
well, actually, before I even began selling stickers, I had an Instagram account just for my planning stuff,
Mhm.
which isn't uncommon. A lot of people do because it's just bizarre. Like, I think I remember showing you at one point, like, this is what I mean by like planner, like the planner addict
Oh
community.
yeah, you showed Matt and
You
I,
know,
and
if you look on Instagram, like people are unaware that it exists.
yeah,
So if you put that on your personal page, people are going to be like, you're 28. Why are you playing with stickers? Right? Like, don't worry, I still get that a lot.
these are
Um,
important stickers. Yeah,
everyone likes stickers.
they're
Uh,
great.
yeah. So I did have a separate account, started kind of building a following just through that and through interacting with other people, whether it was fellow New Jersey planner, people who had similar interests to me, things like that. And then eventually, as I started developing my designs, I offered to send out slightly imperfect samplers to, you know, anyone who wanted them, just to kind of get feedback from potential customers and start building like actual relationships with, you know, people that might end up being a customer someday. So I remember sending out so many of those, which was probably a poor use of time addressing all those envelopes, but whatever.
Wait, what were you? I missed that piece. What were
So
you sending out?
with all of my like, with every sale, I do a little sampler of some of, whether it's the top designs for the month or something that has to do with the season. I'll just do a little sampler.
Mm-hmm.
People love to collect them. People, you know, try to get them all. I think that's a Pokemon thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, did I get that? Yeah.
There's a lot of examples of that. But yeah,
Okay.
you're saying
Yeah.
like people trying
Well,
to like get the whole collection, and they like,
yeah.
yeah.
So I have a different one every month. But when I was just starting, I was kind of playing around with the idea and how I wanted to do that. And I had some that just I was learning how to use my machines, and sometimes they just would not work. Like they would just I would have stickers that like the sheets would have all but one sticker cut out. So I would be like, I don't want to throw them away, you know. So I ended up brainstorming that, you know, maybe it would be smart to kind of get these in the hands of people who could at least see the quality of the paper, the style of the artwork, at least give them something tangible,
Mm-hmm.
you know, something they could hold in their hands and at least hopefully remember me a little bit more by. So that's kind of where I started, was just sending out samples and getting feedback. I launched, I'm not going to say it was a giant success at launch time. Like my first order was a coworker,
Yeah, but that's how it starts.
you know, and that's like fine. It's okay. That's
Yeah.
cool because that's where it started. And that's, you know, obviously over time I've grown quite a bit and started partnering with other brands and other artists, other companies, things like that.
So talk to me about like that, like kind of where you're at now, um,
Yeah.
in
So
terms of
now I
what.
think
Mhm.
um, where my focus at the beginning was very, very much just stickers. Now I've transitioned, and part of this is, as we were talking about before, kind of in part because of COVID and the need to adapt my offerings. Like if people don't have plans, they won't be getting stickers that say like birthday party.
Yeah, that is something. Anyone who's listening, that is something that I did not think about at all. It's
Yes, and a lot of people forget, like, but
there's a,
yeah, my primary user is a planner, so
there's
yikes.
so many different little like, there's tons of stuff that's really like blatant and clear about that was affected by the pandemic. Travel, right? So
Sure, tickets,
Airbnbs,
weddings, and like,
flights, right?
yeah,
Restaurants. There are so many little things that you just never thought
it's
about.
crazy. In
Yeah.
like industries you wouldn't even think of that have been
Yeah.
massively impacted. It's bizarre.
So nobody's
Absolutely.
making plans because there's no plans to be
Right. No
made.
one's making plans. So I started coming out. I think my first like non-planner thing was like in the pages of a planner, but it was just a rainbow list of how to use a planner when you don't have plans. And
Yeah. Well,
it
you could
did
use it for
really
other
well,
things.
shockingly, because
Okay.
people want to know. Like people are like, I have this beautiful planner, I spent $60 on it. It is gorgeous. I have all these stickers. You know, a lot of people are using planning artistically as like a coping skill, a sort of like calming hobby. If they're not doing that, you know, obviously their mental health is, you know,
Yeah.
struggling a little. So, and in a pandemic, that's like the last thing you want, right? You got to like hone in on those self-care coping skills.
Which has
So,
accelerated that like tremendously.
yeah, for sure. So, I did kind of pivot a little from just not just stickers. Now, I would say Peel and Heal Studio is more of an educational platform. It's pretty multifaceted, in that we provide the stickers and the journaling cards and the post-it notes, and you know, all those tools are the like physical products that I sell. But the content that I post and the education that I provide in webinars and we have a Facebook community that's very supportive of each other. We'll do challenges. Um, people will meet each other and just become friends through my Facebook group, which is so cool to see.
That's awesome.
It's become way more than just a sticker retailer. It's become more of a community-based business, and I absolutely love that, because I think that's, at the end of the day, my business is about healing and about giving people the tools they need, you know, and times of trouble, no matter what their journey is, like whether it's mental health or whether they, have diabetes or whatever it may be, like, whether they're dealing with grief over, the loss of a pet, or, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Postpartum depression, there's a lot of people out there struggling who are just looking for connection. So I found that as sort of my entryway into still having a place in the planner community, despite no one having plans, right? Because I could be that like sort of facilitator of, okay, here's your community space. This is the judgment-free zone. Like, welcome. We are all struggling. Provide tools and like digital downloads. I started doing a lot of like printable worksheets and things like that like people could access from home. Because for so long the mail, like the postal services, are also
they've been all messed up.
So that was kind of another little plot twist there.
Did they lose any of your packages?
What's up?
Did they lose any of your packages?
Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah, so many. Yeah.
I experienced similar things.
terrible, but
so that's really cool. So the Facebook group's an awesome idea. I know, a lot of people are doing that now. How many people are in the group? How active is it? All that.
Yeah, so I would say, there are posts every day. I would say we're nearing 600 at this point.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. It's grown over time, obviously. It's been slow growing.
When did you start it?
I started it probably 6 months or so after I opened.
So 6 months after you started Peel and Hill?
Yeah.
So, okay.
So like 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely an important part of, I would say, of the Peel and Heal brand in itself. But I am very, very conscious of the same thing with Instagram. Like, I've grown a great following through there. But at the end of the day, social media, I don't own those followers.
Yeah.
And if my account disappears tomorrow,
you need to have something else.
Contact with them, So that kind of grew into, okay, let me start building an email list and providing, actual content that people want. I would have questions all the time, like, what are your favorite planner supplies? Okay, well, why don't I send out an email with Haley's top 10 planner supplies?
Yeah.
My favorite tips for self-care, doing yoga at home, things like that, allowed me to reach people's inboxes directly. Like, there was no algorithm that's going to screw that up. Like, it just goes to their inbox.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about funky algorithms. For me, I'm still dealing with a chronic illness and with depression and anxiety. So, like, I can't always necessarily count on myself to be 100% present or physically able to work the same, like, structurally every week. If that makes sense. So, like, I have to give myself grace. I can't say, like, every day between 1 and 2 I'm posting to social media or like responding to DMs on Facebook, because some days maybe I have a migraine, maybe I had a panic attack that morning and I'm recovering from that. There's like a lot that goes into it, I think, from that side too.
Yeah, you can't let it control you. You can't.
Right. So an email list definitely like gives me a little more freedom as far as I don't have to worry about, oh my God, I haven't posted in 2 days. Like, I'll just schedule like some evergreen content ahead of time, let it roll out. And that's the beauty, I think, of what I've built, is that our Peel and Heal's entire brand is built on authenticity and just like showing up as you are, like unapologetically, right? So if I don't post and then I decide to post for the first time in like 5 days, I'm like, hey guys, guess what? I had the worst days. I didn't even use my planner. What kind of planner am I?
Yeah.
And people are like, join the club, girl. Like, people love to see the human side of a business.
Yeah, they love to see the messy.
That's a great thing that I get to like kind of facilitate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think like more and more people are like, yeah, it's about the products, but it's also about the person. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
the different ways that you can come up with to get in touch with them and make them feel like they're really a part of your life and they see like the natural side of you is so important.
It's so
Um,
true. I mean, I think for so long, like like everything was so filtered and so like curated, and I
Photoshop
don't know,
and
like
yeah,
we lived like for a long time. I feel like the
still,
Instagram and
oh,
even still,
still,
yeah,
oh, still a lot. Maybe the most now. It's just there's
yeah,
some people who are stopping that, but there's a lot.
exactly. There's like a wave of people who have just embraced like this is real life. Why am I spending an hour editing a picture of me so
Yeah,
that like I
I
don't
get
have
five.
like
So I get five more likes and I
slightly
look a little bit
better
different.
thighs? Like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Like,
Hmm.
it's yeah, it's a movement, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. So two things I want to talk about. One is, well, first I just want to mention something that might be good for you. Is you should check out this app called Discord, and I'll send you the link after. But it's
Okay, cool.
Discord, but essentially it's like a Facebook group, but it's not in Facebook. It's like
Oh,
completely separate. It's free. It was originally made for
like you
gamer.
build your own group, you mean?
You build your own group, and it's
Oh,
like really good. Like the software is just so good. So I'll send that to you after. You check that
oh,
out.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I believe it's free. But so if you wanted to move your community in there to make it feel safer from something happening with Facebook, you could do that.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like a fear factor. Like I'm not like living in panic that Mark Zuckerberg is gonna take my followers, but like it's just
Well,
logistically like how would I pass my business on?
yeah,
When you think about it that way
I
too,
think
like
it's a real concern. I really do. I mean, it's
you
maybe
just
not.
never know.
You never know, but at the same time, it's just like maybe they won't be able to take away your follower base. But as these platforms become more and more popular and people start following more and more people, so each one of your followers follows more people, they're just going to be more
Oh,
distracted. You know
oh,
what I
you end
mean?
up like screaming into a void because like I literally some days I feel like I could create the best content and like it doesn't matter what I post. Like it could be the best content, it could be absolutely nothing relevant, and it may get seen and it may get attention, it may not. It's so algorithm based and it fluctuates so often.
Yeah,
Like to keep up with that is a part of running a business that I just like cannot waste my energy on.
100%. And it's just like every small business out there is doing
Yeah,
this, and it's
yeah,
just like this rat race between everybody.
exactly.
Um, and one, it's unhealthy. Two, I just think from like it makes it difficult. I don't know. It makes it difficult to stand out and like it makes people do different things that they wouldn't do otherwise if they were in a different area. Um, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just crazy, and like the fact that there's just literally one company that has all of these small businesses just by the balls,
Right.
um,
Right.
is
And
just
that's
crazy.
kind of like how it was that same feeling with starting out on Etsy with like, wait, but is this really mine if I don't like get to
Yeah,
control,
and that's the
the
thing.
pricing or,
It's great to start on like things like Etsy and Amazon,
sure.
whatever, and then it really is because it gives you customers, it gives you proof of
Oh, it's
concept.
great.
People like it,
Like all your marketing like
and then
responsibilities.
and then you get to a point. It's like okay, like, but now like I feel like I'm just Etsy. I'm not peeling heel.
Well, exactly. And then it becomes like, oh, are you still running that Etsy shop? Versus now, oh, are you still on Peel and Heel?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Much better.
it gives it a different vibe, I guess.
100%. Very cool. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up, and now I forget. Um, oh, plans. Any plans for the business coming up in the future? Anything exciting you want to talk
Let's
about?
see. Well, okay, so today I'm allowed to say it now, so it's great. We had internet troubles. I was accepted into one of the largest like collaborative sales in like the planner community. So a lot of planners, scrapbookers, crafters will discover, you know, some long-term businesses that, you know, they'll shop from through this. And
Oh, really? That's really cool.
since I started on Etsy, it's been a goal to kind of get to there.
It's amazing.
I've applied in the
Congrats.
past and haven't gotten through. It's been like one of those little pipe dream type of things. Like, I guess I could try. So this time I am in that, which is really exciting.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's later this month. And then the next step is my self-love boot camp. So I'm working on a program called Thinkific to run my online course.
I've seen that. Thinkific.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's working so far so good. It's just a lot of, you know, a lot of time and energy, but I ran one as like a live event through Facebook. I did it basically like webinars all day, and people could tune in to whatever they wanted. Basically just like demystifying self-love and the fact that it's not bath bombs and avocado toast all the time. That's not the point.
You know, Haley, you have like a really interesting dynamic, because you have like your core business, which is just like selling. Like everybody always talks about like, oh, like, you know, building community and stuff, but you're actually like, you're really doing it. Like you have like your main thing that you sell. Then on your Instagram, you kind of have like this mission of like I'm trying to make it acceptable to be open about mental health issues.
Right. And I kind of I use that as sort of my platform to share my story.
Yep.
I'm moving it to a blog for the longer content, just because the longer form stuff, like people don't read it on Instagram, I don't think. So.
Yeah. So that you also have the blog that you're working towards, but you have the Facebook group, and then you're doing a course as well. So it's kind of like this.
It's all coming together pretty well.
That's cool.
We'll see. Really cool. Don't want to count the chickens before they hatch.
It's just going to take time. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, we are at like 50 minutes, so we'll bring it home here. Last question I always ask is if you have any recommendations for somebody who's looking to start a business, online business. Maybe they're trying to compete with you and sell stickers. I don't know.
Advice for a competitor?
No advice for competitors, but advice for generally people who are interested. Anyone who wants to sell something online. Let's we can do it.
I think if you want to sell something online and you want to be successful and feel fulfilled, like your work is actually worth the time investment, you need to think long and hard about whether or not you can surround yourself with that product every single day. Like, can you get up and be passionate about that thing every day? Is it just a thing, or is there a mission behind it? Because I think the mission and your story is what hooks customers in. People don't fall in love with like a toothbrush. They fall in love with the person selling it, or the commercial, or the song written about it, or whatever it may be. You know, we're emotional creatures. And I think that would be my number one tip, is to make sure you are invested emotionally in what you're selling.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Okay, Haley, I think that does it. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then, maybe in 5 months or so, we can hop back on and check in and do this again. That was awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Awesome. All right, Haley, thank you, and I will see you later.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.